everybody. Welcome to Across the Park podcast on location, as always, back in our sort of home away from home, the Rock Salt. Cheers, Judge.
Cheers, mate.
As you can see, a little plug for Rock Salt there. They do have some great offers down in Crosby in the week. I think last time we were here, they were plowing us with 2-for-1 pizzas, 2-for-1 beers. So get on the Instagram and have a little look. Myself, Ian Mills and Gary Judge here to talk about all things Everton Football Club, sponsored by Globe Central Heating, Globe Gas and Heating. So globecentralheating.com. We are working on a bit of a jazzy advert, aren't we, to maybe get some nice photos out there, because what we say doesn't really do the work he does justice.
Yeah, follow them on Instagram. You'll see the bathroom suites that they throw out are unbelievable, like next level stuff, and again, really reasonably priced. You get a top tradesmen that deliver the stuff and fit it. So no, definitely check them out. There's no work in our house that Lee and the team at Globe haven't done for us. So yeah,
we'll get some pictures on the intro very, very shortly. We're still working on getting some good videos on there. But our sort of one of our original sponsors, their clothing. So it's virclothing.com. You can see myself and Judge here kitted out in some really nice gear. I work in a city centre. All the lads are walking around in it. It's a really great company, clothing company. It's all over the city. And what they've done for us, Judge, is a really kind offer for our listeners by way of a little discounts.
Yeah, so obviously we're going into a new season in terms of spring and summer and whatever. They've got a sale on at the moment, which is 50% off a load of their lines. A lot of polos in there and shorts that you can get for the summer. A lot of it is plain stuff and that, so it's as easy to wear, goes at most stuff. But as Millsy said, they've got 50% on there at the moment. But when you get to checkout, if you put ATP 25, you get an extra 25% on top of any of the discounted stuff or the full price stuff. So for example, this overshirt I've got on here, I think is £15 in the sale. Then you get an extra 25% off. It's nearly a tenner, and so you can wear this open, you can wear it closed. It's sound, definitely check them out. It's only the extra 25% and that 50% sale is only on for I think a week or so. So I know we're approaching payday at the moment, which is what I reached out to them and said, look, it's nearly payday. You get us a little offer for our listeners, subscribers. And yeah, they give us that extra 25% off. So throw the stuff in your basket, ATP 25 at the checkout, and you get yourself an extra 25% off.
We'll put that on our socials on Instagram. Our Instagram is @AcrossTheParkPC. What we'll do is we'll pin a couple of deals at the top for the next week or so as well.
While we are on that one, please subscribe if you don't already. Jesus.
Our Achilles heel is.
It is, we never mention it. We're too busy plugging other businesses who obviously support the podcast, and we support them, but please click subscribe at the top. It helps us massively. We've got bigger podcasts on the subscriber basis that don't even get half the viewers that we do. And we look at our data all the time, and it's like 20% of the people who watch our videos actually subscribe. So it's just one click, but it makes a massive difference to us. So please hit subscribe. And again, we're looking at live shows in the future, which will only be available to our subscribers. So there is content coming and exclusive offers coming. We're never going to be a podcast that charges. So all you need to do is click subscribe to keep in touch with everything that we're doing.
Helps us, and like Judge said there, the big word in subscribing to our YouTube channel is it's free, and what it will do for you is it'll just give you the pop-up notification on your YouTube app, on your smart telly, that we've got a shout out, just so you know, because not everyone follows us on socials, we understand that, so if you can subscribe if you watch it on YouTube, will really help, and also share. Get this link in all the WhatsApp groups for anybody who might enjoy it or might not even enjoy it, want to give us some stick. I think we've got enough thick skin for a bit of banter, haven't we?
Yeah, we have, definitely, yeah.
Talking about the Blues, you done the instant match reaction after the Leeds victory. I was getting dragged home by my 4-year-old who was really tired, so I couldn't get on that one, but I really enjoyed what you, Dave and Neil were saying, or you and Neil and Dave was throwing us two cents in the background. I had the UTV Up the Villa podcast on our YouTube channel yesterday to talk about the Villa game. So we will cover both games at the end of the show. The sort of itinerary, if you will sort of be the fan advisory board asked for a number of questions to the club. So first of all, they got the Farhad Mashiri YouTube interview, went down a bit Marmite-ish. These replies went down a bit Marmite-ish. So I do want to get into just reading through them and what we think of them. First of all, it might be out there already, but at the time of recording now, we're 5:30 on Thursday. It looks like Jordan Pickford's about to sign a long-term deal, which according to Paul Joyce on Twitter, does not include a relegation. The first bit, the last bit, Thursday, does that surprise you?
Yes and no. I think for two reasons. One, I would have expected Jordan Pickford to want that in his contract, for obvious reasons. And two, I almost would have expected Everton to want it in there because they don't want such a high earner on the books if they do get relegated. Yeah. But I guess with the parachute payments, you've always got that chance to get straight back up, and you maybe don't feel it for the first year. It's an ambitious move for Pickford. I guess it's a brave one. I mean, is it one of them where he's just happy, his family are happy, he's looking after his family? Ultimately, these are human beings. He may not be that, the person who is motivated by trophies and stuff. Maybe he's thinking, I get that for England. I get that buzz of, winning games and going far in tournaments. We'd love it for Everton, but I don't know. I mean, it's hard to understand what's going through his mind. Deitch has suggested that it's because, he's encouraged by the project, or what project? Not the word he used. He's encouraged by the progress that they've made under him and the new team, and what they stand for and where they're going. Maybe it's a bit of that. I don't know, but ultimately, look, it's positive PR for the club, which we've had very little of off the pitch recently. So
it'll be interesting to see what he comes out with, what his quotes are, whether he comes out with a nice monologue of. I think the devil on my shoulder also thinks that it puts more value on him.
Not the devil, is it? It's.
Because I don't want to lose him. I mean, someone saying to me, it's not about him loving the club, it's this, and I've got that little chirp and saying,
I mean, to be honest,
don't get carried away.
That's the way I'm looking at it anyway, regardless of whether he's staying or go. And the fact we tied him down to 2027 means that we can command a bigger fee for him because he isn't going anywhere. Contractually, we don't have to, just take whatever we can. So maybe it's the fact it's the loyalty thing from him. Maybe it's been, the club have been honest with him and said, look, we're in a vulnerable position with you being in this contractual position. We'll look after you. We'll give you a shed load more money, but look after us by signing up till 2027, which means that we can command 50, 60 million, which, regardless of what you think of Jordan Pickford, an England #1 should command.
Yeah, and he's been linked with a number of clubs. I'm just going to get the fan advisory board question and answer session up now. Just whilst I do, he has been linked with a number of clubs already, so it's not like his value is going to diminish by possibly going down, whatever. And I think Everton would now still be able to claim a higher fee. Again, devil on my shoulder, you've just spoke about there. I also do think if Everton, if we stay up, I also think there's a very real chance that we'd look at a cash cow like him. Regardless.
I'd sell him. Yeah. I'll be honest, I would sell him.
There you go.
I spoke to a few people on the match who sit by me the other day. And listen, I'm not being critical of Pickford. I think the money we could get for him and how we could potentially reinvest it, and that's obviously a big statement. But I think he's one of the people who I would personally cash in on.
Fair enough. Looked at the fan advisory board, the Q&A. It doesn't say who it was. It just says it was the football club. So whether that's a David Prentice rewording the Farhad Mashiri response, we don't know. We just know that Everton Football Club. I've put this out as their official response to a number of questions. Would be here all night if you've done every question. Let's go through a couple of little snapshots with you. First question, why wasn't there any external involvement in the strategic review of football? The answer comes back. The review was conducted with input from multiple departments within the club. It included extensive benchmarking and analytical review of best practice from across football and the wider sporting sector. So it was supported by the board. The Director of Football, Kevin Thelwell, is now delivering and shaping the key objectives of the review. He bounced that one back.
Why can't we see the review then?
That's the next. But I think
and
they bounced that away. There was no external. He never answered.
No. I mean, they're suggesting that external, or their definition of external, is that they looked at what other clubs are doing and what models other clubs had. Maybe what, from an analytical point of view, what other clubs have produced. Whether it's as youth products or whether it's as, from a financial point of view, maybe that's their definition or their way of saying we went external.
It's still marking your own homework for me, that. It's still a little bit late.
It is, self-assessment.
Yeah, very much so. You've asked the question there. The next question was, why has the football strategy not been shared? They've said the finer details of the strategy can't be shared publicly due to competitive sensitivities. The fan advisory board has a presentation already from Director of Football, and Kevin Thel will continue to provide content on club channels.
It's nonsense that. Like every business will conduct these, whether we call them self-assessments or reviews all the time. But to your customers, your investors, you still put out a commercial deck to say these are the key findings and this is what we're doing. You don't have to throw people under the bus. You don't have to specifically say what you're going to do down to the letter. You don't have to give away the game, as they're suggesting. Just letting people know, look, these are our findings.
Give us a PowerPoint.
Yeah, exactly. Give us a one-pager. You know, we're not asking for we're not asking for contracts with people who are involved with the club and the ins and outs of people's job descriptions. We just want to know, like, what were the headlines and what are the club doing about it?
To go a bit deeper there, who do you think, if they're protecting there? Is it like a Marcel Brands, perhaps, or because they can't go into why the details?
I don't think they know. I think that's the point. I think the review was like, okay, it hasn't been very good, but we can't really pinpoint what it was. So let's just change it and let's go from there. I don't think they've got enough solid data. Let's be honest, they haven't got a depth of a team to be able to produce all of that data and all of that, that intel. So no, I think they're lacking substance, and that's probably the top and bottom.
Trying. If anyone from the club's watching, I'm trying, and I'm not the person who really should be trying. I've been anti a lot of things
for
a long time.
I wonder why you want to present this week. Judgy, my sense to present.
Look what Judgy said about the club. Why was the business side of the club exempt from the strategic review? The answer was, the business operations of the club are reviewed on a regular basis. The review you refer to was only a comprehensive analysis specific to the football operations of the club. A few examples of what they do. They've said, look, the football identity, the commercial growth, we place supporters at the heart of our planning, we provide world-class facilities, best professional services, a bit of an advert again. No explanation as to why the business area of the club, which let's be honest, I don't think a lot of this altogether now movement. I don't think a lot of it is just at the performance of the football side. A lot of it is like, we need better people on the board to make the club.
Yeah, I think it'd be tough to do that type of review and make it public without exposing themselves, wouldn't it, to be fair? And I think in their defence, in that response, if I was the club there, my response would have meant, look, our accounts are public. You can see we haven't performed well enough commercially. The new stadium is a big, step forwards in that commercial aspect. Some of the business decisions have been poor. Some of the people who've made some of them decisions have been removed. That would have been probably an easier way to address the question without, dancing around it, which it seems like they have again.
Moving on to supporter engagement. The question, will key people within the board agree to be interviewed by independent journalists? The answer came back that members of the club's boards have previously been interviewed by journalists, and board members will no doubt be interviewed by journalists in the future. There is also regular and direct communication from the club to fans. Arguable, but let's see what you're doing. Where am I? Including the home match day programme, so probably Denise's page, through direct email communication and posts on the club website. Posts on the club website, we've probably had 3 from Mashiri in the last year, which is a lot. And I don't personally expect the owner to come out that much, really. So we do get bits. The problem for me with this is it's already a summary of why people have anger. There's nothing here I'm taking from it.
There's no admission, is there? There's no admission of like, you don't have to, they're there obviously to promote the club, and we're aware acutely that there's some potential investments, so you don't want to overly expose themselves, but there's nothing wrong with sometimes just holding your hands up and admitting that some things could be better. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, Mashiri has alluded to that in some of his, his open letters or whatever, that, we could be better, we're trying to be better, but being specific about where you could be better would help with some of the people who are criticising the comms and the board themselves.
If anyone's watching this without sound, I think I'm so rude, by the way. I'm just on my phone and or not.
No, it's all right.
I'm actually reading that. If anyone's thinking I'm the rudest person in the world, I'm actually not. Trying to get a bit of context for us. A couple of questions on the fan advisory board themselves, asking will the directors meet them. They bounced back saying at least one director does meet them. And then an interesting one here. I feel like this has probably come from some certain people within the fan advisory board. Is the club using the fan advisory board as a point scoring exercise? The club came out and said, not at all. They're a very important part of the club's engagement with supporters. I think that's, again, well, let's see how far this goes with the fan advisory board, how much we do get back. We are, I agree, regardless of context, we are getting, there's noise. It's It's the content of the noise. Oh, this is a big one, and this has been something that's been going on for a number of years. I think probably around 2007 or something. They stopped the general meetings, then they came back for a while. They'd gone again. Will the club reinstate general meetings? Club have came back. Whilst the club have no plans to reinstate general meetings, we are fully committed to engagement and collaboration with shareholders and fans. We monitor the findings of the government fan-led review, which identified 10 strategics and 47 detailed recommendations of football. It's a little bit more, without being disrespectful, we're not going to reinstate the general meetings.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? No, we won't.
Okay.
And it just begs the question, why, doesn't it? Like, it was an obligation. They've removed that as an obligation by, adjusting the memorandum or whatever it was. They're ticking a box by still remaining comms, and that's why they put that in to say we are committed to communications. So I think that the actual law from a football side is if you haven't got an AGM and you haven't got formal meetings set up, then you do need to, to commit to a certain level of communication with the fans and with the shareholders. So the kind of stopping short of saying we refuse to formally communicate, but that's pretty much what they're saying, isn't it?
There's one here that's tickling me. What is the club's communication strategy apart from surveys that ask about food and parking? We've all had those surveys, haven't we? And I get why the club need that feedback, but again, it's quite funny. Everton is committed to engaging and communicating with fans, both through fan groups and broader communication via the official club channels. The club will always try to engage and seek feedback.
I'll be honest, Millsy, I don't think this beer is enough listening to these questions. I'm looking at the top shelf up there.
I'm trying not to go through the walls as well. My Guinness is going to be gone in a minute.
My God.
I'll skip.
Can we move past it? I mean, if there's any more highlights, great.
Yeah, I'm trying to get through. I'm trying to move past. More communications questions. Would the club be prepared to initiate quarterly video updates from the Everton board members to put on the website? And they've said that's actually something we can look to introduce in the future. So someone's got a good idea there. Should have been on Dragon's Den there for that one.
That'll be, Dave Prentice will be heavily editing those before they go out.
Is Bramley Moore financially separated from club finances? The answer came back. Everton Stadium Development Limited is a wholly owned subsidiary of Everton Football Club. The company sits within the Everton group of companies. Moving forward, the club is putting in place a Stadco structure, which is commonly seen in stadium financing. What are you taking from that?
That's common practice. I think it's encouraging to hear that that's the case. I mean, I wouldn't expect it to not be the case, because if you're an investor coming in, you want to invest in that project. You don't want to put your money into the club and see it sink down, down on the wages. So that's standard, and relieved that that's the case. But it's certainly nothing to be worried about, or think it's definitely common practice.
There are some interesting questions here in the finance and revenue section. The first one: why doesn't the club have any money to spend? Just flat out. Excuse me. The answer comes back. The club does have money to spend, but it must work within the financial parameters set by the Premier League and UEFA. Over the last 7 years, blah, blah, blah.
But be honest with us about that situation then, about where we stand. Like, there's no reason why, if they just said that in January and said, look, we need to sell Anthony Gordon because we're tiptoeing along there, and the implications are if we don't sell Anthony Gordon or we don't balance it up, then we get, 20, potentially expulsion from the Premier League. Fair enough. We'll take it. What's the problem with that? Do you know what I mean?
How is the club? Is the club underfunded? Has the club considered funding streams that include fans, such as the Arsenal scheme? Mr. Bashiri's investment and commitment to Everton has ensured the club is not underfunded. Is there any truth in a rumour that the club has been placed in special measures by the Premier League? Everton replied, the football club is not under any special measures, but has always continued to work closely and transparently with the Premier League, as is the norm for most Premier League clubs.
That suggests that they are under scrutiny.
Yep.
And they're answering the queries as any club has to. They haven't said we haven't had any extraordinary dialogue. with the Premier League or with financial fair play, you know, I guess consultants or whatever they are. So
I can see why they've answered these on written format.
Oh yeah, you don't want to be misquoted on this, do
you? Where is the money coming from to keep the club afloat? Is it from the owner?
Or the Arteta
Or does Mr. Usmanov have any financial interests? So the flat out calls out on this question. The rumour, for anyone who's been under a rock, is that Alisher Usmanov is the
real
someone
owner.
with money, let's
just
say.
Owner, he's the real owner, and he's given his money to his former accountants, who is far.
Which is a rumour.
Yeah, which is a rumour
before we get sued.
Yeah. We can't get sued, but it was just the independent outlet.
The club's accounts clearly demonstrate the structure of the club's finances. Mr. Usmanov does not have any financial interest in Everton. Not surprised he said that, to be honest. Even if he does. Yeah. Let's have a look. Who runs Everton? Chairman or owner?
Ooh, that was actually a good question. It's getting better.
Everton is not run by one single individual. Both Mr. Mashiri and Mr. Kenwright deliver in their respective roles as majority shareholder and chairman of the club. The operational decision-making process is handled by the club's C-suite executive leadership team with ratification and sign-off on key decisions provided. Waffle.
I know, that's corporate nonsense.
Boring myself reading half of these, so if you switched off, I'm so sorry. Are you about to switch off? We'll move on.
This is going to be shortly a preview of the Villa game, by the way.
These questions get quite angrier. What is the point of having a board if Farhad Mashiri makes all the decisions? Question asked. It is an incorrect assertion that all decisions of the football club are made by the majority shareholder. Okay. Who signed Alex Iwobi?
Yeah, I know.
Where did El Ghazi come from?
On his yacht, yeah.
Okay. Why won't the chairman relinquish the club?
Oh my God.
The chairman is not majority shareholder of the football club. There's a question on what each board member do. They talk about Grant Ingles and stuff, which is fair.
Just on that one, and it is the case with it. The chairman is appointed by the board. Now, we don't know, and there's speculation that there was some kind of clause in the sale that he's got to remain part of the board until he chooses to step down, etc. Again, it's just a rumour. I like the Usmanov one as a rumour. The chairman is appointed by the board, so you know whatever pressure that Kenwright's under, which is right, you know he should do the right thing and step aside. The owner can do that at any point, as can the board can vote the chairman off the board.
Which is why, again, the rumour or the assertion is he's surrounded by safe pair of hands. Grant Ingles had a spell away from the football club, brought back, put in a position.
He's not on the board.
Graham Sharp has worked as a long time there. Denise Backstage
was given the job at the
shows her seat on the board to Bill. And I think you've seen how fast Marcel Brands was removed from the board when he was caught in the main stand. Sort of alluding, talking to the fan, saying, is it just the players? No, it's more. So I don't see it happening anytime soon. No. Again, some more questions on why Graham Sharp, why did he spat it back to them? All these, this is available to read over on the Fan Advisory Board Twitter. We just wanted to get some reaction from Judgy, really.
You know what? We'll put it in the description. We'll put the thing in the description, link to their website. We'll put this in there as well for anyone's interested. You can click on it then. Yeah,
we'll do a last couple. Why is the transfer business left until the end of the transfer window always? They've replied saying, we are sure this is a question many supporters ask of their clubs. So it's everyone else as well. It's not just us, it's everyone.
Yeah.
Not just us. We can assure you Kevin Thelwell and his recruitment team began identifying potential January targets as soon as the summer window closed. As widely reported, Amjad Danjuma, who not only fitted the profile of a player we wanted to bring in, but also offered the best value for money in an overinflated market. We had a deal in place. Another club stepped in the 11th hour. So pointing to a possible signing that wasn't late, and also saying it's everyone else, not just us.
No comment.
Yeah. More questions on David Prentice. Will we ever hear from him? The answer was he's an internal senior communications manager, not an external one. So he's just a senior.
So what does he? So he manages emails or something and forwards them on to people.
David Prentice is the senior communications manager working within the club's communications department. His role is focused on liaising with broadcast and written media.
So he's the PR machine for the stuff, for this, the likes of this.
And arguably
he clearly edits this, though, doesn't he?
The famous Greg O'Keefe Athletic article where Greg O'Keefe had to go into hiding because of the abuse he was getting over it. Were board members advised or ordered not to attend the Southampton fixture on the 14th of January? The board were instructed not to attend. So it's not advised now, they were told. Yeah. So again, we're seeing a few different things. If security classification of the Southampton match was that high, why bring players in by coach and then allow them to leave individually? They've said the security measures in place were deemed appropriate and adequate. But the board couldn't attend.
yeah. It just doesn't make sense, does it?
No. There's not much more really on the player side of it.
Good.
Does the club have a plan to get out of the situation we're in? Yes, we have a plan, and the plan is in place. I imagine that's Sean Dyche. I imagine they're referring to have changed the manager, and that's the plan. I'm just trying. I know there's a couple more within your Jim White interview. So this is to Mashiri. Fans felt that they were being blamed for the club's current predicament. Can you explain what you meant on that interview? And he's put, it's nothing like that. I said, I asked for patience, and I have said I've been impatient also. And I'm responsive to fans' feelings, and I've maybe removed some managers too early. It's my criticism, not the fans. Bit of clarification on that, because that did go down like a bit of a lead balloon.
No, yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I have sympathy for him here. I don't have sympathy for Farhad Moshiri, but I think when you're in that position and you're trying to defend yourself, and you're trying to... He's got a lot of kind of intellectual plate spinning there, hasn't he, in terms of you got the manager, the players, the club, the board, the fans, and ultimately trying to defend himself. I think it's safe to say, not being misquoted. I think you can sometimes say things and it not being taken slightly out of context, I think, anyway.
On that one, I just think that we've got a media team. It doesn't need Jim White to interview our owner. We've got our own media team which you can use. Last one, is Everton up for sale? The club is not for sale, but I am talking to top investors of real quality to bridge a gap on the stadium. I want to bring top sport investors into Everton for some of the reasons the fans want more talent. We are close to having a deal done, but I'm not selling the club at all. Do you believe that? The club's not for sale.
I do, for the reason being that he's got all his eggs in that stadium basket. He'd be mad to sell the club at this time, unless someone come with a daft offer. But that's the case for anyone. I mean, them across the park. There's never a price. There's a price on everything. There's a price on this place. There's a price on everyone's house. There's a price on your car. There's very few things apart from your family that you don't have a price on, isn't there? So
there's still an element of, if someone offered you an overinflated bit of money for your car, and you'd go, bloody hell, I'll take that. You can also not want to sell. That car's not for sale. Do you know what I mean?
No, but why would it be?
But anyone can come and say.
But why?
Well, the difference. What I'm trying to get at, maybe I've not worded it as well as I should.
Yeah.
I agree with what you're saying. If someone comes in with a large chunk of money now and he'd look and go, there's my money back and then some.
Yeah.
Is he looking for that? Is he sourcing that?
I don't think so, because I just think it'd be the wrong time. It's not a good time to cash in on this club whilst we're hovering above relegation. The stadium's not finished. He's an accountant. He's a money man. Like, as we've established, he's not a businessman, but he knows money, and he knows when to sell his investments and when to buy. And that's all he does as an accountant: to sell, buy, save, whatever. He knows this is not the time to sell. It's not. He won't get the best valuation. So he needs that investment to get that stadium finished. He needs, as he's putting it there, strategist to get the most out of that stadium commercially. Once you've had that stadium open for a year, and assuming that we're still in the Premier League at that point, that is a good time to sell. And he'll go, boom. And he's got the wage bill down. The wage bill is extraordinarily high as a proportion of the money that we bring in at the moment, as has been well documented. So for all them reasons, an accountant, the books don't look great. It's not a good time to sell. I don't know why he doesn't say that. I honestly don't know why he doesn't say that, because it wouldn't be, the fans, again, as I put with the money to spend in January, the fans would be not relieved. These appreciate a bit of an honesty from an experienced accountant to say, look, the club isn't in a great financial position. I've backed it heavily with cash, I was going to say my own cash, but with cash that is not the club's, that has been given to the club, and you know, there's no debt there because of that reason. But because of that, I'm heavily leveraged, and I need this stadium to be a success, and I need the team to be a success, so I can make this club worth something that is worth selling. If you said that, you'd be like, fair play. Do you know what I mean? You're being honest. You're not saying you're going to throw the club under the bus. You've removed the debt. You know, you're financing a new stadium. You take a lot of pressure off himself by doing that. That's the bit I don't understand.
There's parts in there, we haven't read it all, there's parts in there where, look, I can't lie, I did get something from it. Now, I seen that the Twitter machine blow up saying, like, this is ridiculous. And I've also said there's a lot of waffle. I think there's little bits we can take from that. What I'm getting at is, again, a lot of the All Together Now movements, the campaign is based on communication, School of Silence, one of the banners.
Yeah.
No communication. What we're getting there, alongside the YouTube video, is probably too much.
Yes.
Like, we don't need all of that. It should have possibly been, again, my opinion is...
Do you know what they should have done for me? They should have looked at them questions and used it as a basis for the consensus. That's the feeling. These are the things the fans care about. Let's get a statement out to them that doesn't... All right, fair play, they've addressed the questions directly, and, you know, I'm going to say credit to them for that, because they have done it. All right, they've danced around some of them, they've addressed every single question, and that's what the fans have been asking for, and that's what the advisory boards have asked for. But they could have thought, okay, well, clearly this is the one. The financial position of the club is clearly a concern, and many of them questions are centred around that, whether it's investment in the team, whether it's investment in Brandy Moore, whether it's where the money's coming from. Just give us a nice little flowchart that shows that, and a message in the middle that says, look, clearly the club's not in a great position financially. Clearly we want to work to improve that. Clearly that's going to impact on some of the transfer dealings we can and can't do. It's also going to impact on contracts, and that's the way it works. It's a business, it's a merry-go-round. But, you know, we're committed to do it. We're not going anywhere until the stadium's built. He could have done that in what, just from him personally. A lot of them questions were clearly not worded by him. Some of them clearly were. And that's
again going back to the interview that Jazz Bowell done for the fan advisory board with Mashiri. I feel sorry for Jazz, because he seemed to get a lot of stick off that because people weren't happy with the context. And we speak to Jazz, he's a top lad. I feel he was put in a difficult situation to be given a number of questions to ask, when it should have been broken down by someone professional, a media personality to come and say, not Richard Keys, but an independent media personality to say, I will do an interview for Everton's YouTube channel, and I'll ask the hard questions.
Matt Jones.
I'll summarise what I think this needs in 10 questions, and I'll ask him, and if there's a follow-up question, I'll ask it, and you put that out there.
And you're right, that's too much, it's too long. It's like, you don't know where to start and end, as our viewers have just seen. I think we just swallowed up our whole show there, going through that.
Don't unsubscribe, still subscribe.
Yeah, exactly, We'll cut it if you... I mean, give us some feedback. If you think that was too long, then blame Millsy. But look, I agree it was too long, and for that reason, I don't eat up more of our show on it. But, you know, hopefully it was useful to the listeners, the viewers. It was our take on it. That's our disclaimer for the club and for anyone who you know, wants to hit back at us. But
we did go to the All Together Now groups got together last Thursday. They had some fan podcast to go down. Ped was there for Toffee TV. You know, Ben was there from the Bullens. County Road Bob was there. Ourselves were there. Sorry if I've missed anybody out. We did say hello to a lot of people. We were there, and one of the most interesting things, and I'm saying this to lead into a different question, is the vote was unanimous that group, whether you're for or against, that group do not want to see the board at any more home games this season. They want full concentration on what's on the pitch. They went as far as saying, if the board show up, then we will react in a post-match protest. Yeah. And there's also an understanding there that maybe the post-match protest, because people who aren't part of that motion can then get involved after a skinful of ale, and we've seen the scenes with the Yerry Mina, Anthony Gordon, which they didn't condone, but that can happen. So we then read an article yesterday where Bill Kenwright wanted to attend the Leeds game, but it was told on Friday night. For leadership purposes. Told on Friday, don't attend. What's your opinion? Should the board just stay away from the home games for the rest of the season? Yes or no?
Yes.
Why?
Because the messages that, I mean, in fairness to, you know, the All Together Now group and whatever, they're trying to make sure that the fans' energy is channeled positively towards the players, because that is what the fans are here to do. You know, we're going extraordinarily beyond not only our responsibilities, but our kind of, no one wants to be in this situation. No one wants to be sitting in the hot walk on a Thursday night talking about Everton when we're not playing well anyway.
Fair play to those who do, by the way.
No, but let's be honest, no one wants to. They do for the right reasons. You want to be planning trips, you want to be going, okay, we're going there, let's meet and talk about what we do on this European tour. We're not doing that. And we're having to channel our energy in a negative way. But fair play, we're doing it behind, or they're doing it behind closed doors on a Thursday night, away from prying eyes, away from any media as well. I know there was some media there just to get, you know, a flavour for what the fans were thinking. But it's not to say stay away from the ball because we, you know, any like kinds of personal hatred towards people, and there is that as well, by the way. But it's about caring for the club and about the best thing for the club. And they know that there's people that have got a hell of a lot of animosity personally towards board members, and you don't want that to come out when the players and the manager need our support on the pitch. That's the reason why, for me.
I think if we have a home game with the board of attendance that comes 60, 70, 80 minutes, isn't going to plan, then it's so easy to then turn the ground toxic because of who you see.
And that's what they said. That's what they did say. And you know, it does. It quickly flips and it turns and it becomes bitter and it becomes horrible. Thankfully, it's been a while since it got that way. Goodness, and even in some of the, you know, later games under Lampard, the fans didn't really turn. You know,
it was Southampton, wasn't it? That was the one.
Yeah, they were getting frustrated, but yeah, it was. So I agree. There's no need for any more additional negativity. When I say additional negativity, no fan is happy when the team are not playing well and the team are getting beaten, particularly when the team are getting beat by teams that are weaker than us and we should be turning over. But you don't need that added, you know, potential negativity of people being on the ground that the fans dislike and don't believe are doing the job properly.
I agree. What I will say, the sidebar to that we will move on is I don't think that board should go to away games and not home games. I think there should be a blanket, just stay away from the club and just say, we understand the anger, we're just going to stay away till May.
If they care about the team as much as the fans claim they do, then work with us and have a common understanding that you're not, you know, and that is the message, you're not welcome. So, you know, it's you can only compare it to, you know, a family, can't you? Do you know what I mean? If whoever you are in the family, all your cousins and whatever, you go into this family party, you're not welcome. You turn up, the party's going to get ugly, and it's not going to be about the person's birthday anymore. It's going to be about you. Everyone's going to kick off on you, and it's not fair on them. So if you care about the players and you care about the manager, then you just stay away, don't you? And think, I want to be there. I'd love to have a few beers and whatever, but it's not right, is it?
It's the best analogy I've heard on this. To be fair, it's the best analogy. Look, you've done the instant match reaction after Leeds. 4 days removed from it. How do you feel? Like I know, when you leave the grounds and you've got an opinion which can change over time when you see things on the telly or you sit there and you think about it. How are you feeling 4 days on from that? Do you feel any different from what you did post-match when there was obviously everyone's, you know, really happy and things, but is the fight any easier now because of that? Because for me, what I'm trying to get at is that the Arsenal one was huge. The Arsenal was massive. We came out, we went for the pint and it was like, wow, we've just done something really special there. You had to beat Leeds, but they were shite.
No, but do you know what?
And it was like, anyone could beat these. I don't feel much different than I did.
I get what you're doing here, but that's probably because you had to leave early with your 4-year-old, let's be honest.
I stayed till the end, but I had to just go.
No, I know, but no, and I don't know what you're saying, but that was bigger for me because the reason being that it wasn't a great performance. How many times you hear it said, or do you say it yourself, you know, measure of a team is winning when you don't play well? I don't think we played particularly well. Yeah. I think Leeds are a poor side, but the pressure that went with that game, considering how close they were, you know, points ahead of us in the table, that was a bigger game than Arsenal, let's be honest.
Oh yeah,
because there was so much pressure on that game, and that gave me more encouragement because we're going to have more games in that category, given the number of teams that are around us and in the mix than we are playing the Arsenals.
Does it make you feel more confident of staying up?
Yeah, it does. It does. I mean, the performance didn't, but the result did. We got the result, and that's, in them games, that's all that matters. The performance was there against Arsenal, and thankfully we got the results as well. But we've now had 3 games that were completely different, but we've got 6 points out of those 9 games. If you take 6 points out of every 3 games, you're flying. Do you know what I mean? Never mind relegation. You know, in general, you're going to be right up there. So And we've had 3 very different games. We've had a game that we played poorly in at Anfield and didn't get a result, rightfully so, but we only conceded 2 goals, which, you've got to take the small wins there, and that was a small win to not get tonked on that night, because we could have got tonked. You've had the Arsenal game, you've had both the performance and the victory, and you've had the Leeds game where it was a scruffy game, we didn't play particularly well, and we've got the results. So I think there's, for me, it was a bigger win. I actually felt more encouraged at that Leeds game than I did the Arsenal game.
And look, this is why we do the podcast, because there's different ways of looking at the game and different opinions. I'll switch that on me. I felt more confident of staying up after the Arsenal game. I thought, wow, if that team can go and do that, and he can give us 5, 6, 7 of those between now and May, we'll stay up. What I seen on Saturday was, of course, it was huge, and it was a 6-pointer. You can't let teams around you even nick 2 points off you, and to not do that was massive. I just watched it and I was thinking, oh God, we're not playing well. Is there enough to get over the line? And we did. Great goal. You won't see it again. You're not going to see that again. And that's where I'm at a little bit. I'm just looking, going, we beat Leeds 3-0 last year. And I rightly came off the ground thinking we were going to be fine because we battered them and then we weren't. So I'm not right by any stretch of the imagination. Just where I'm sitting, that result, that performance doesn't make me feel any safer. I do still think there's a lot to do. You say that though, and have you watched the game back? Have you watched the... We had some good chances. Not the 90 minutes. We had some really good chances, We should have been a couple of goals up. The Takore one was criminal.
Yeah. We had some... Through. No, we had some really good chances, and that's the thing I've taken from... I mean, the exception being the derby, the Tarkowski one comes off the post, Tom Davies one, but our chances compared to them were minimal. But the Arsenal game and that game, we've had chances there to score and to score well. I get where you're coming from in that we haven't got goal scorers in that team, and that is a concern. Obviously, it's naturally a concern. But finding a way to win when you're not playing well, and defending more doggedly and more convincingly, and that can't be underestimated. Leeds didn't really have a chance. That's what I mean.
So I never even seen that. Like with Arsenal, it was like every tackle was cheered, every clearance was cheered. It didn't quite get that with Leeds, and you were like, should we not be 4-0 up then?
They didn't really have a chance though. So
that's why I'm thinking, should we not be putting them to the sword? Why am I not seeing, ole, ole? Why am I not seeing, because these are that
because we haven't got the goal early enough, but you talk about that Takori one. If you get that goal, or if you get one in the first half, which we had a few chances to do, then it is a different story. There was a few at the Park Ends in the first half where, couldn't quite get on the end of the crosses, 3 or 4 crosses across the box, which suggested, and that was the encouraging thing for me, those crosses from, whether it was McNeil or a couple in the first half, where, his instruction is to get the ball in early, but the default for the midfielders has not been to run and get on the end of that. That'll come together. Do you know what I mean? It's them things will start to click. The more time the manager's getting his message across, the more time the players and the forwards are getting the habit of gambling, which they maybe haven't done under Lampard, about passing the ball in and creating it in a different way. So I seen things there where I think will start to bear fruit as the games go on. But just on a kind of summary, it was all about the results, and it was a massive result above all else. And we got that result by hook or crook. And whether you're at the top of the league or the bottom of the league, that's what football's about.
As much as I like to, can't argue with him. He's won me on that one. Talking about strikers, talking about goals. Sean Dyche's press conference today. Dominic Calvert-Lewin will not be fit for Saturday's game. It's not even winding me up or frustrating me anymore. Like there was times where I was thinking, like, what's wrong with him? Why can't he get back? And now I'm going into it by default. He's not playing. Are you like that, or are you getting more frustrated? All the times you hear the manager say he's not ready. It's the third manager now. Where it come out, or 4th when he looked at Carlo saying he's not ready again.
It's almost like now I almost want to skip forward 6 months when he's either not here or whatever, and to hear someone say this is what it is. Do you know what I mean? And you get the little WhatsApp messages forwarded to you. He's finished. This has happened. I've heard that he's this muscle's ruptured and he'll never play again and blah, blah, blah. But I just want to know what's going on. It's almost like those questions. I wanted someone to ask a question at the bottom. What is wrong with Dominic Calvert-Lewin? Do you know what I mean? Because it's frustrating for me. It is. I'm not immune to it because I know how important a player like him is. And I'm not going to say Calvert-Lewin because we've really only seen him for a few months under Carlo, and that's it.
It's what he brings to the system.
Yeah. A person like him, with his profile. And going back to the whole window, that was the most frustrating thing, and that was the criminal thing, is not bringing someone like him. And when I see someone like him and people go, oh, it's not hard to find it, you know, a 10, 15, he's not that he's not that player anyway. No. He's only done it once. Yeah. It's just someone to lead the line and someone to hold the ball up. And Sean Dyche, you know, had 3 of them at Burnley, and he'd be looking thinking, it's not an exaggeration to say, I think he'd take Ashley Barnes right now just to go and stand up there and be a lump. And
probably wondering where Ron's on us. He'd get Ron's on us.
I know he would. He'd be gutted. That Lampard was allowed to release him. But yeah, I'm still in the frustrated camp. But I just want to move on from him.
Yeah, well, I'm done with him. I'm there already. Yeah. I'm there already. I'm very frustrated with him. But that's now not even there. I have been frustrated. Mm. There's been a number of times I've watched us, and again, not the best goal scorer. I've done it once really. Just think, oh my God, if we just had someone to hold the ball, play a 1-2 and just give us something. But I think the time has come really, unfortunately, for Lewin, that he should not be part of it now. There should be some sort of conversation in the summer between his team, our football club. If we cannot get you to where we need to get you, there has to be an awkward conversation here. And I don't know whether that's...
It's almost like a pay-as-you-play thing, isn't it?
That's a new deal which has to protect us, or you want to go and do a...
Something's clearly not right at all.
You can't keep going into season after season with him as the number 9.
No.
And the club website put an article out saying, like, he scored 2 behind closed doors, and he rev everyone up, and he breaks down. So...
yeah, I mean, above all else, I actually hate that he wears the number 9. That's a bit that I really...
You requested that, if you remember. Silver gave it to him. And Silver actually said, I always remember that Silver actually said he asked for it. And I was unsure. I was like, I wasn't sure whether he was ready for it.
Yeah.
So even at that time, like, he shouldn't really got it. I'd understood if he got it after Carlo.
After the Ancelotti one, yeah.
I don't know there to give it to him. But we'll move on from him. Villa at home. I spoke to Justin from the Up the Villa podcast. It's over on our YouTube. It is available on the audio platforms as well. People who are driving or in the gym having a run. Really good listen.
Very good listen.
I'm quite jealous of where they are as a fan base, because I felt it when...
I was surprised at how optimistic they are, to be honest. And listen, we're not... That's the good thing about the opposition podcast. You see results and stuff, and obviously they had a good uplift when Emery come in. They then haven't won so many games since, but clearly what they've seen on the pitch, and you do see things that, you're not just the results, you see the way the players are playing, you see the reactions from players, you see a lot of stuff that, you know, that opposition fans don't see. And Justin couldn't speak any more highly of, you know, Unai Emery's impact, but also a lot of the players in the squad
you're talking the system they play and what he can see, shoot to green, and I liken it to when we got Carlo. I said this on that show. When we got Carlo in that December, and we got the little bounce, and we could see what he was trying to do in that second half of the season, but we never had the personnel. And then we give him Abdoulaye Doucouré, Alan, James Rodriguez, Ben Godfrey, and said, now develop that system. And we see him for 6-7 months. So, but even in that half a season without that, we were singing his name, and we were loving it. And as a club, we were on an upward trajectory. That's where they are. They're coming to Goodison with 2,800 loud fans who are on that upward trajectory and ready for it. And you can see that on that podcast with Justin. They're confident of coming to Goodison. He said that on their socials, in their private WhatsApp groups with friends who are Villa fans, they're expecting to beat Everton. And they're thinking that it's not going to... He's saying it's not going to be that much of a problem.
Yeah. I mean, you can't blame it. You can't argue with that you know, train of thought. Certainly on the, you know, the league position, you know, as you say, the fact that they're so stable, you know, they're comfortable in the system they're playing in. You mentioned some of the players like Ollie Watkins, you know, above all else, who's clearly got his mojo back, playing very well. You know, the midfielders, Kamara and Douglas Luiz, very strong hold midfielders, young, athletic, can clearly match our midfielders, no problem on that level. But, you know, you've got the Coutinho's in the mix, you've got, what's his face from Norwich, Buendia, you've got goal scorers from all over the pitch. So, you know, they've got more than enough to not only match us, but to beat us comfortably, to be honest. I think there's a degree, the only thing I would say, and I obviously wasn't on that podcast, and I was listening to it, and it was a very good podcast, and I thought you'd done well in the way that you framed the questions. I think it's a bit of a clash of styles for them playing us. Even was taken back by saying, what, so you're not going to come at us? Because I know he said that, you know, they very much now play from the back. I think that's going to kill them against us. I think
press starts.
Yeah, the way that Arsenal tried to do it, that killed them. Playing out from the back was the worst thing they'd done against us.
Yeah.
I think at times Leeds done it as well. That was the worst thing they'd done. Dyche loves that. You know, in a home game, go and play from the back because all he wants is the ball in that final third. And the more you try and play from the back, the more the ball stays in their final third. So I think there could be a bit of a clash of styles there. Don't get me wrong, they could easily, you know, play through that press, and they could beat us comfortably. But I think that there's a lot to be encouraged about for the Everton players and for Sean Dyche, and there's a lot to chew on. He loves that. He relishes knowing how a team's going to play, and I think that's the thing with Unai Emery, and that's where he come unstuck in the Premier League last year. Every team has got a unique way of tackling your system, and as much as a top class manager there is, he's not Carlo Ancelotti. He's not.
No.
And I think you were, if anyone does watch the podcast, I think you were very fair with him, but I also think you're overly complimentary of Unai Emery. I don't think he is the manager maybe the Villa fans think he is in the Premier League.
Let's hope he gets found out on Saturday.
No, and I think he has been found out. He's been found out in some of the Villa games. He was found out at the end of the Arsenal game. I know that Justin was rightfully saying it was a good performance. You lost out at the end, but that's that's in-game management, and he hasn't managed that situation well enough. And that's the Premier League. That's literally what the Premier League's about. You never know what you're going to get, and you can get hit at any moment. And I'm just hoping, and that's the way I'm hoping, that there is a clash of styles, because I think there could be potentially, and that we do catch them cold a little bit.
So how do Everton win this game? So I'll go back to what I said. I said on the show with Up the Villa podcast that it'll be set pieces. If Everton win, it'll be a 1-0 performance.
Second balls.
It will be frustrate Villa, allow Villa to have the ball, but trap them into pressing areas. Do you see Everton possibly doing it a different way than that?
No, second balls, as it was against Leeds, it was literally getting the ball. I think Maupay will start again. You know, the thing with Maupay, we know he's not going to win balls in the air. We probably know he's not going to score either. But he's a menace, and he can be irritating for defenders, particularly because he's got that low centre of gravity, and he gets in that position where you're not just jumping and competing in the air. You've got to try and kind of. So what he's done against Leeds, he backed into the centre backs. He made it difficult for the centre backs to get a clean contact on the header. And the arm midfielders just swarmed on the second ball, or the wingers did as well. It wasn't about flick-ons. They knew we weren't going to win flick-ons. But that was the game plan, and it kept the ball in their thirds of the pitch for longer than it was in our thirds. And that's what's it's a territory game for Dyche. It's a territory game. And I think he can win the territory battle. It's just whether we've got, and you raised the question on a number of occasions, whether we've got the quality to seize on those opportunities. And we won't really know, to be honest, until 5 o'clock on Saturday.
I'll put my neck on the line. 1-0 Everton, with the crowd behind them, defending well. Probably similar to the Arsenal game, where the crowds are behind every tackle and every clearance. I think Everton will still get chances. I don't think we've got enough forwards enough forward players to move the ball up the pitch to really take advantage of those chances. So I'll go 1-0 Everton. What are you saying?
I'm going to go 2-1. I wouldn't disagree with 1-0. I certainly wouldn't be surprised to see it. I think we'll go a couple of goals in front at the weekend. Maybe not early in the game, but I certainly think. Yeah, I think we will go a couple of goals in front. But I think Villa will get one back and maybe make it difficult. But however it goes, I do fancy them to score. But I think we'll get one from a set piece and maybe one from open play.
Love it.
I think,
love it.
And I'm going to say it now. I think the time. I think Maupay's going to get one at the weekend. I think it's
time.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those. The cross is coming across the box. I think he'll get on the end of one. I think that will have been something they've worked on heavily this week. Is just gamble. You're no good on that penalty spot because you're not going to win the header. So just gamble on that ball in between the defenders and the goalie. I think Martinez, as good as a goalie is, he's got a mistake in him, and he's got the tendency to sometimes, maybe make the wrong decision. So I fancy Maupay to get a little toey from 2 yards.
Fair enough. We've covered an awful lot on this week's show. Talked about Jordan Pickford, communication from the board. We've plugged our sponsors. We've previewed the Aston Villa game this Saturday. There's not much more to do from us. Please, if you watch it on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and share this show in all the WhatsApp groups. Like I said, we've got thick skin. We do get some comments from time to time. One thing you won't be doing is ripping our rig out. Judgy, once again, the Veer Clothing. How do they go over and get the discounts?
Yeah, it's veerclothing.com. We'll put the link in the description below so you can get on it. But ATP 25 for an additional 25% on top of either the sales stuff or the full priced item. So enjoy, everyone.
Absolutely. And thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, even on the audio podcast. Plenty more to come. We are talking to a big name from the city and Everton about coming on, and even in the Jamie Carragher podcast that with us. So we're hoping to have something like that. We will be back, or Judgy will be back, with the instant match reaction from the Aston Villa game on Saturday evening. And again, if you're enjoying us being face-to-face and having a pint opposed to being virtual, let us know. We love the comments. We're open to doing more things. If you think the setup can be improved, the content can possibly be improved, please let us know over on the Twitter.
I could do one more pint, to be fair. If someone can sort that out for us, then that'd be appreciated.
The Twitter is @AcrossTheParkPC. The Instagram is @AcrossTheParkPC. On the Twitter, we've got our linked tree there now as well. The website is no more. So all the catalogue of our shows are over on the YouTube channel and the iTunes or Spotify. Thanks for watching with myself, Ian Mills, and Gary Judge. As always, up the toffees.